to another episode. It's another one. We did it. We're doing it again. It's another one. How exciting is that? It's another episode of Casual Movie Club. It's number 59. Can you believe it? Wait a minute. Is it 59 or 58?
It's 58.
Oh, shit.
It's 58.
that big, like, excited intro, and I got the number wrong. Oops. All right.
You're so excited. For good reason.
Yeah, exactly. So it's episode 58, even though I saved the file as 59. Wait a minute. Okay, wait. Now you got me second guessing myself. All right, hold on a minute. No, it's 59. It is 59.
I'm wrong. I'm a big wrong-o.
It is 59. I was right. Yes! It's 59, ladies and gentlemen. And we're here. You're here. We're going to talk about a movie, and it's awesome to see you, because this is the podcast about movies, where two guys sip some adult beverages, watch a movie, talk about it, rate it for your listening pleasure. This is the Casual Movie Club, and we're thrilled to have you here. And by we, I mean me and my good friend, coming to us from the long distance away of the other side of the town. It is, through the magic of the internet, it's Brian!
Hello! What's happening, buddy? How you doing?
I am well, my friend. How are you?
I'm holding up as best as I can during these trying times.
Yeah.
The reason that we are separated by so many miles is due to the coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak.
Yep.
I am currently quarantined in my house. My wife and I and our two lovely dogs do not knowingly have COVID-19, the coronavirus.
Yep.
But out of an abundance of caution, we are self-quarantined. We are staying home from work. We are not leaving the house unless we absolutely have to. And as such, this has forced us to do a remote episode for this show.
That's right, because the show must go on despite any viruses that are in the air. And the show shall go on because this is what we do.
Yeah, we do this for you, our listening fans.
All 6 of you. Well, we love you. I'm just kidding. We love all of you. Yeah.
And speaking of love, let's talk about this movie, John. Did you love this movie? What movie is it that we're doing?
That's a great segue, and I do love this movie. This is The Karate Kid from 1984, the original with Ralph Macchio and Noriyuki Pat Morita. Mm-hmm. I adore this movie. I absolutely love it, and I'm even going to go on record to say that I like the sequels as well. I love the first one, and I really like the sequels. The sequels are not as good as the first one, but they are very, very close.
Interesting.
I've seen all of them except for the one with, I think, is it Hilary Swank, where she's like the new karate girl or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I have not seen that one, but I've seen 1, 2, and 3 with Ralph Macchio, and I adore these movies. I really do.
Nice.
What about you?
I really like this movie. It doesn't sound like that I like it as much as you do, but it's good. It keeps my attention for the most part.
Yep.
It's just not. I just don't love it.
That's fine.
Like, yeah, I would not turn it off. The funny thing about this movie is that I've seen this movie more than a dozen times, and I think I owe that to the fact that I have a lot of friends in the martial arts world. I have friends that are practitioners of various martial arts.
Yep.
And I also have friends that own their own schools and have their own students.
Like their own dojos?
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
I've been friends. My best friend, I've been friends with him through his journey from a student to a master to somebody who owns his own dojo.
Oh wow!
And this movie looms large in their lives.
Oh wow! Nice.
So Yeah, this movie I'm very familiar with. I don't love it like they love it, or how it sounds like that you love it also, but
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I think it's a quality movie.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those movies that stands the test of time. You know, you can watch it anytime, anywhere, and you can still see relevance in it. I mean, yeah, there's going to be differences between, you know, the clothing and the hairstyles and the dialogue and all that stuff. I mean, all that aside, it's still like a very relatable movie.
There's a bunch of life lessons in this
Yeah.
movie, though, that are just applicable no matter who you are, what discipline, what line of work you're in,
Right.
What relationships. Like, this movie is just doling out life lessons, and they're
Yeah.
all valuable.
Right. And what I love about it is it doles out those life lessons, but it doesn't smack you over the head with them.
Yeah,
You know, like I feel like some of those like John Hughes movies, they kind of like throw it in your face a little bit. But this doesn't do that, because I never got that feeling from watching this, because it's a movie where you have very relatable characters and they're getting into these kind of relatable situations, and you're not at least for me, I wasn't at all feeling like I was getting, you know, some sort of, you know, after school special morality lessons like shoved in my face.
I agree. It really leads you by the hand. Now, there are some aspects of this movie where I feel that it's very, very ham-fisted,
A little bit.
And some of its, I don't know, not message so much as plot points it's trying to drive home.
Okay.
Like Danny being bullied. I think Danny is not as appreciative, and he's not as the golden boy that he might be on the surface.
What do you mean by that?
I'm going to preempt you here,
Please.
because in your list of questions that you normally ask Brian, one of them is sum up this movie in a phrase or a single word.
Yep.
And I'm going to sum up this movie with the following two words:
Okay.
daddy issues.
Really?
Really?
I'm gonna have you expound upon that.
I was hoping you would ask me to do that. This movie, I want to ask you a follow-up question.
Sure.
Before I will expand on this, but I want to ask you a follow-up question.
Sure.
Who is the main character of this movie?
I would say it's Daniel.
You would say it's Daniel.
Yeah.
I would disagree.
Why?
I would say Danny LaRusso is not the main character. I would posit to you that The Karate Kid is about Kazuki Miyagi, the immigrant who fought against his own people in World War II, while his wife lost a child
And
in an
lost her own
internment
life.
camp. Yes. And Noriyuki Morita was nominated for an
Yes.
Academy Award
Yes.
for this performance.
Yes.
The sadness and the depth that he brought to this role warranted an Academy Award, a nomination, a nod from the Academy Award.
And I completely stand behind that.
And I would argue Ralph Macchio just showed up. So here's why my summation is daddy issues.
Okay.
Kazuki Miyagi lost
Is that his
a
first
son.
name?
Yes.
I don't ever remember seeing or hearing that, but I'll go with it if that's what it is.
It was in medal. It was on his Medal of Honor that
okay.
That Danny. And by the way, fucking Danny LaRusso rummaging around an old man's things while he's passed out drunk. For shame. For shame, Daniel-san.
I mean, I can forgive that a little bit because, you know,
I
if
can't
those,
do. I'm just breaking his balls, but
I know, but like those things, they were left out. You know, they were left out sitting there, so it's kind of like, you know, I can't fault him for that. And also, it wasn't like he was a complete stranger. You know, like the two of them already had established that rapport and that kind of,
yes,
you know, sensei and trainee relationship kind of thing.
Yes.
So I can kind of forgive that. I mean, it's fucked up to go looking through someone else's shit, but
Yeah.
it was sitting out there in the middle of the room. So,
But to build off of that, the way that Miyagi takes a liking to Daniel, and the way that he trains him, reminds me of, and not only a sensei, a master-student relationship, but a father-son relationship also.
or I was thinking like a mentor type of relationship in that.
That also, yeah, and that all takes place.
Yeah.
Every time Danny asks Miyagi, well, who taught you this? Oh, my father. Oh, well, who taught you how to cut bonsais? Oh, my father. Who taught you karate? Oh, my father. And Miyagi, and these are skills that fathers teach sons in Japan, as referenced by Miyagi.
Right. And did we ever hear about what happened to Daniel's father?
We didn't.
We
didn't hear about that. No.
We don't know if he died. We don't know if he was a deadbeat. Like, we don't know if he's in prison.
Right.
We don't know anything about his dad.
Exactly. So I really see Daniel as a surrogate son for Miyagi.
Yeah.
And also, we don't know about Johnny's parents.
True.
Danny LaRusso's arch enemy, Johnny, the blonde-haired Cobra Kai guy.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about him in a minute.
Yeah. We don't know about his family situation, but we know that he looks up to his sensei and respects him immensely, so much so that he does what he knows is wrong by sweeping the leg.
Right.
So, like, all of these guys are father figures to these students, to these young boys. So, like, with keeping that in mind, this movie is just filled with daddy issues for me. Some good, some not so good.
Okay, I'll go with that. That's cool, man.
Yeah, that's just my small take on the movie. Yeah. But so you said you had something to go on about Johnny?
No.
Were not ready for that yet?
No, I mean my notes are kind of all over the place just because I really enjoy this movie so much. I wasn't sure where I could kind of pick on it. You know what I mean? Because like usually in this podcast, we kind of like shit on movies or we just sort of pick them apart. This movie is so good. Huh?
Yeah, you're right. And for the most part, we pick apart movies, but this movie is generally good. I mean, I could pick apart some of the acting.
Yeah. Okay, I got a question for you. So,
yeah.
By the way, I don't have any official things to ask Brian. Like, I don't have any specific, general questions to ask you. I just kind of have random notes for the whole movie.
Okay, that's fine.
So, okay, his mom. By the way, I think Danny LaRusso's mom was fun. She was really fun.
She is fun. She has a great attitude, and she's doing the best that she can.
Yeah, I really liked her attitude, and just as somebody from New Jersey, I could totally relate to her character because I knew a lot of mothers that were like her. And, to a degree, my mom was kind of like her a little bit, really friendly, outgoing, optimistic, good attitude. She was like her a lot, but also in the when Danny was kind of he was getting ready to leave and he had the sunglasses on and she's like, take the sunglasses off, take them off. No, take them off. Like that whole interaction, that brought me back to friends of mine's moms and like my mom, like things like that. So very, very authentic, but just such a fun character. But I had a question. She moved out there for a job with a computer company, right?
I thought
like that's what they said originally, right?
Originally, I suppose, but
then hold
she
on.
A waitress though?
Well, yeah, that was my question. So they are. So she, Danny meets his mom for lunch, or just meets her at this restaurant, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm being trained as a manager, and I'm going to make more money, and blah blah blah." Is she working at the restaurant? And then she says she's going to make more money as a manager in the restaurant than she would in the computer field. I call bullshit on that.
Yes,
I call hardcore bullshit because it was 1984. So it's not like computers are as big as they are now, or as big as they were in like the early 2000s and whatnot. but still, that's still a cutting edge industry. And that's the kind of industry you'd want to be in, especially because of all the developing technology and stuff. So the fact that she's like, oh, I'll make more money being a manager at a restaurant than she would in computers, I'm sorry, I call bullshit.
I do too. And it seems like they never explicitly say that she's a waitress or a manager at a restaurant.
We don't even know if she's working at the damn restaurant.
Well, no, we don't. Like, are they meeting at that restaurant for lunch?
Right.
What's this lady calling her about that interrupts their lunch?
Right. Is she the boss of the restaurant? Is she the boss of some other company and they're having a lunch meeting? Like, we don't know what the hell the mom's doing.
All great questions, and some of which I had written down myself, my own notes. So I'm really glad you noticed that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, during that scene, though, I really liked the outside the window across the street. So,
yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I wrote that down. Because I never noticed those guys until like this watch, and I've seen this movie a bunch of times. But really? I never noticed those guys, the interaction, like kind of how they were sort of making fun of him in the distance there. I never noticed that until now. Yeah,
and what's beautiful is he doesn't notice it.
Right.
Johnny. Danny is like focused on his mom.
Right.
He's talking to his mom. He's still down and about because he wants to find a good karate school. And Cobra Kai is being run by the psychopath bullies.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that they're out there making fun of him, and no one has any idea. It's great direction.
Oh yeah,
love it.
And it wasn't like they were right in front of the window. It was like they were just outside of kind of that sort of locale. You know, they were just outside of where it would be obvious. So it was just this
right across the street.
Yeah, it was this like minute background detail that was just perfectly placed. I loved it. I loved it.
Great.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I'm just having
what else?
Okay.
Yeah.
So after he has that, after Daniel has his little run-in with the skeleton guys and Miyagi kind of patches him up a little bit, when they go to the Cobra Kai dojo, could that scene have been any more intense?
Or illegal? Yes.
Illegal.
There's a whole lot wrong with this.
Oh, tell me.
Well, so Miyagi introduces Danny to karate, right?
Right.
And Danny's like, well, can you help me out? Can you come talk to these guys? Well, Miyagi's idea is to go and talk them out of beating him up, right?
Right.
That's Miyagi's idea.
Right.
Danny didn't inception this into Miyagi. It was Miyagi's idea. And Danny was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a great idea. I'll go and do that. Then Miyagi doesn't back him up and say, no, I'm not going with you. I don't want to be involved. Well, Miyagi, you involved yourself when he jumped the fence Spider-Man style and beat up 5 dudes.
Right.
So they go to the school, and then he asks him to leave him alone. Miyagi asks the school to leave Danny alone, and they're like, no, we're going to kick the shit out of him no matter what you say.
Right.
And then Miyagi says, well, let me just enter. Well, what if he enters into this tournament? Where does this idea come from? Like, this guy's got no training at all.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You're opening him up to certain injury.
And at that moment, we did not know how long they had before that tournament. We didn't know if it was a week, but then later on, as they go back out to the truck, he says, Danny's like, oh, why did you do that? And Miyagi's like, oh, I saved you 2 months of beating. So in theory, it's 2 months away. But do you really think somebody is going to get that good at karate in 2 months to be able to beat a reigning champion? Someone that had won the championship twice in a row. Is somebody going to get that good with zero karate experience, get that good in 2 months to be able to beat them? I mean, it can happen, but it's highly unlikely.
Especially somebody who's like 16, 17, has to juggle schoolwork, has to juggle home life, social life. They would have to train every single day. And beyond that, like, the Cobra Kai dojo, if they threatened them when they said it's going to be open season if you guys don't show up this tournament.
Oh, that's the illegal part.
Highly illegal. You can't threaten me like that.
Right.
What the?
Right, but also I'm surprised.
What does open season mean? What does that mean?
Right, and I'm surprised I'm surprised Danny didn't go to the cops. Like even after their first interaction on the beach, where like the guys
go to the cops.
The guys are what?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Why did no one go to the cops?
Yeah, the guys are they're harassing them. It's harassment, but also it's destruction of property. Where the guy rode over Allie's radio with his bike. That's destruction of property.
Oh my God, yes.
So like, why didn't you go to the cops? I mean, why did you feel like I mean, I get that there's like the honor bit and like trying to defend your honor and defend your credibility and all that shit, but why didn't you go to the cops and say, look, these guys are being assholes to me. They've done this, this, and this. They've beat the shit out of me. Look at my black eye. Look at my, scars all over my face. I've been getting harassed by these people. I want a restraining order put on them, or I want to see them hauled away to juvie, like, he could have taken this a much better way than like, I'm going to take it upon myself to be the one guy that beats the shit out of all these people.
Let's add another layer to this bullshit.
Yeah.
Danny and his mom drive out to California so Danny's mom can get a job and make more money. When they're at the restaurant,
I thought she got a job offer. I thought she moved out there because she got like a job offer, or she like her current job transferred her or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But they move out there. They move out there to make more money, right?
In theory.
In theory. So when they're at the restaurant and Danny his mom asks him, well, what are you doing in that karate studio? He's like, I was trying to go to it, but it's not really for me. And she's like,
sucks.
Good, because we probably can't afford that anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how familiar you are with these karate tournaments, but they cost money.
Really?
You can be a member of the school, but there's still money associated with signing up and attending a tournament.
So you have to pay to get into the tournament.
You have to pay to get in the tournament, even if you're a part of a school. There's like even.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, karate schools have to make money, and the way they make money is through merchandise, but also through payments for classes. But also, if you want to be accredited, if you want to get belts, if you want to do like additional training, if you want to compete in tournaments, everything costs money. Tournaments don't just sprout up of their own. You have to pay to go to tournaments and compete in tournaments.
I did not know that.
Who is paying for Danny and Miyagi to compete in this tournament? Is Cobra Kai footing the bill? Is Miyagi?
I don't know. I mean, Miyagi had all these classic cars, so I mean, maybe he's got money.
But he's an apartment handyman.
Yeah. I mean,
he can't be making that much money.
Well, okay. Well, hold on. Maybe he's not making a lot of money, but maybe he's got like a lot of money stashed away, and he just has this handyman job to, give him something to do during the day because he's kind of an older guy. So, he's not necessarily going to have a super active job or like a job that's, requires a lot of physical strength and stuff. But being like an apartment handyman, it's like you're going to fix faucets, you're going to fix locks on doors, you're going to fix like easy shit that an old guy can handle.
That's fine. I agree with all of that, but it's been established that Danny and his mom are not well off. So who's footing this bill?
And how much is the bill? That's the other question.
And how much is it? Yeah. Miyagi's stealing black belts so Danny can participate.
I thought that was funny.
That was amazing, by the way. I love that sleight of hand, and getting Allie involved in it. It was great.
Yeah,
I loved it.
She's the translator and stuff. That was great. And I got to say, I loved Allie's and Daniel's chemistry. I thought they were really fun together. And it's funny because I remember, I don't know if you've had this happen when you were younger, but like, I've never had any problem talking to the opposite sex, And I know a lot of guys that I knew kind of growing up, they were like, oh, I can't talk to this girl. I'm going to say something stupid or blah, 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 you know. But like the way that Daniel and Allie kind of start their relationship is so natural. It's like, that's how you do it. You just go up and talk to them like they're a human being, you know. And I loved that their relationship was just natural. Like they were friends kind of starting out, and then they kind of became boyfriend girlfriend. I'm assuming, you know, but their chemistry was very natural. It was kind of like authentic. I really like the way they were together.
I do too. Yeah, I agree. It's really well done.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, okay. Random question. I mean, I just noticed this. I put this in my notes. You remember when Daniel and his mom went to Allie's house and they picked her up? Why did everybody sit in the front seat? Like, why did they make Allie sit in the middle in the front seat when there was a back seat with back doors that either the two of them could have sat in the back or she could have sat in the back? Like, why did they sit across the front bench seat?
You remember those old school cars though in the 80s where they had like there were no front seats. It was like a front bench.
Yes.
More than seats.
Right.
So, and Danny's mom is so sociable and all. Like, I've had people when I was younger. Anyway, I haven't had anyone talk to me say anything about that, just because just the way cars are now. But it used to be a thing to be upfront and sociable. You're not going to be as sociable if you're sitting in the back, and plus, it makes if it's somebody you know, if it's a friend or somebody, it's like, what am I doing chauffeuring you around? Why don't you? It's like a sign of respect to sit up front and talk with the person up front.
I guess I never thought of it that way. I mean, because I would think, at least I remember when I was younger, if my mom was driving me someplace, if I was going to like pick up a friend of mine or something, we would sit in the back together, and then, you know, she'd be driving up front, and like we'd have conversation and everything. We didn't do that like division of like, oh, I'm chauffeuring you around, and like there's that kind of antisocial division. We never really did that. But
did you guys have those seats though? Did you guys have those bench seats in that car? In the cars that you had growing up?
At one point we did. Yeah, I mean, I think when I was very young we did, but as you know, like as I got older, I think they stopped kind of putting them in cars. So, you know, my mom she had a couple of Ford Explorers and like Ford Expeditions and stuff. So like they had kind of bucket seats up front and then a bench seat in the back. So, I mean, we sat in the back anyway, but I don't think, you know, I guess maybe now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I don't think we ever had a situation where we had a front bench seat and we would all cram together in the front seat. But at the same time, that just doesn't look comfortable to me. You know, even regardless of how big of a person you are, it doesn't look comfortable to squeeze 3 people into the front when you could put 2 people and 1 in the back, or 1 in the front and 2 in the back. Like, I don't know. I thought that was a little odd.
It was odd. It's odd to me also, but I understand the scenario, the sentiment maybe of not wanting to feel like you're a taxi. I've had recently, actually, within the past year or so, I've had Uber drivers get mad that nobody wants to sit in the front with them.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had that happen.
Yeah, well, they've only commented about it. It's like, oh, well, you know, I'm more comfortable in the back, that's all.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
But that's strangers. I don't want to sit in the front seat of an Uber and Lyft unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah, I mean, so I drove. I don't know if you know this. I'm
not that sociable.
What's that?
I'm just not that sociable with strangers.
I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I ever told you, but I drove for Uber for one day.
You did. Yes, you did. I do remember that. Yeah.
It turned out just with the particular car that I had at the time, it was not financially feasible. But when I will tell you that when I did give a ride to someone that they did ride up front, and it was kind of awkward.
Yeah, because you're essentially a taxi service,
right? And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. I mean, there were 2 people. There were 4 people that I was taking downtown, and that one of them was sitting in the front, and 3 were sitting across the back. So I was like, yeah, I mean, where's the 4th person going to sit? Obviously, they're going to sit up front, but it was like, I don't know you, bro. Like, why are you sitting next to me? You know,
so awkward. Yeah,
so
awkward.
I don't know, but I just thought that was weird. But I have to ask you, and maybe this could be a question to ask Brian, because it is a question I'm going to ask you, and your name is Brian. So, so what would you say, or do you have what is your favorite scene in this movie? Because I have there's a very specific scene that I absolutely love in this movie, and I'm just curious if you have a scene that when it comes up, you're like, oh, I love this part, or this is my favorite part.
There are two, and
okay.
it's a toss up.
Okay.
The first one, I'm just going in order of their appearance.
Sure.
But it really is a toss up. The first one is when Danny shows up and Miyagi has been drinking. It's the bonsai scene.
Okay.
And he says, Sergeant Miyagi reporting duty to kill many Germans.
Yeah.
Oh, not going to kill Germans. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. I really like that scene because that's really gives you an insight into the Miyagi character and
right, exactly
the sadness and the pain that he hides.
Right.
My other favorite scene is where Danny realizes all of the menial labor he's been tasked with.
Yes.
Adds up to actual karate.
Yep. So that right there, that's exactly 100% exactly the scene I was going to talk about. I absolutely love that scene because that is, like you said, Danny, like when you said in the beginning, Danny doesn't seem like he's this golden child that he kind of feels like he should be, or that, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't seem like he's that perfect child, but and all in all, leading up to this point, you don't really see Daniel doing any karate, or you don't see them doing any martial arts. It's basically just him waxing the cars, sanding the floor, painting the fence, and painting the house. And then he's sick of all that manual labor, and he's like, what the hell? He's like, I'm washing your cars, I'm waxing your cars, I'm painting your house, painting your fence, sanding the floor. When are you going to teach me karate? And then that moment when the two of them start sparring, I love that scene. Absolutely love that scene because that's the moment I feel like where, that's the moment I feel like where this movie kicks into gear. It's a little bit slow when you first start. It takes a little while to get in there.
Oh, be honest, it's a lot slow.
I don't even know that I would say that. I mean, it doesn't move as swiftly as some other movies do, but then as soon as that moment of realization and the kind of the light bulb goes on in Daniel's mind, that's when the movie starts to go into the next gear, and I love that. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I love the pride on Miyagi's face when he sees the light bulb go off.
Yeah.
And the pride that Miyagi, you just see it in his face. He's just so proud that Daniel puts it together, and he just walks away. He's like, yeah, come back tomorrow.
Right. And then
it's so much weight to that come back tomorrow.
Yeah. And then so that's okay, so that's the scene where Miyagi feels that sense of pride in the fact that, Daniel is he's understanding all this and he's getting the concepts, and then when he finally shows him that, painting the fence and wax on, wax off and all that stuff is for a reason. And then I kind of feel like the opposite happens, where Daniel kind of gets the respect that he never really had for, or like a deeper level of respect for Mr. Miyagi, is right after he puts Miyagi to sleep when he passes out drunk, and he's, he reads through the letter that says that his wife died during childbirth, and he sees the Medal of Valor and all that stuff. And then, after he blows the candle out and he stands there in the dark and bows to Miyagi as he's sleeping, like that is where the same thing happens for the other person, so Miyagi had that sense of pride in the beginning, and then now you see Daniel has that sense of respect for who he's learning karate from, and for who Miyagi is, for who Miyagi is as a person based on his past, and just like as a man, like what he's been through. I think that is an incredible, those two scenes are just an incredible piece of character development for both sides.
Yeah. The other thing that I think adds to this that doesn't become obvious until later is when the training begins. When Miyagi gives Danny the bandana, ties it around his head, and then he says, "So, like, are we ready to get started?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I guess so." Miyagi's like, "No, come down," and they take a knee.
Right.
And if you notice, they take a knee for what seems like no reason, but they get down on the same level because Danny's a little taller than Miyagi.
Right.
But they get down on a knee so they're eye to eye, and
Right.
he says, "Karate is a two-way street. Left side, you're good. The left side, you're good. Right in the middle, you get squished like a grape."
Right.
So it's either yes or no. There's
Right.
no I guess so. There's no I'll try.
Right.
It's that Yoda adage.
Right.
Do or do not.
There is no
There
try.
is no try.
Yep.
And that's the beginning. And that doesn't really it clicks for Danny there, but it doesn't really culminate until that scene that you were talking about.
Yeah.
When they do their sparring. He's like, "Oh my God, everything up to this point has fallen into place."
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful moment.
Yes.
Fucking love it.
And I love the way, and I loved what happened after he put Miyagi to sleep, and they kind of go to that little montage where he's practicing by himself. He's kind of trying and failing with the crane technique. And
Real training.
And then he's standing on the boat doing the punches and the blocks and everything. Like I loved that montage and that scene because it was like, I think, to me, like that, I was thinking like how to describe this movie in one word. I couldn't come up with a single word, but the word that kept coming to me after, like, he bowed to Miyagi, and then that scene afterwards where he's doing the practicing is just like, that's where he got it. That's where he got the respect, not only for Miyagi as a person and as his trainer and as his mentor and everything, but for the craft that he's learning.
Yeah.
He got the respect for the kind of art form of karate, and the tradition of karate. He understood why he was doing what he was doing, and it wasn't just a revenge thing. It wasn't a fighting thing. It was he understood it in his soul.
Yeah.
So
Nice one.
thank you. Right when I'm saying. Oh, did you have one too?
That was a little wet.
Oh yeah, that was good. It's funny because right while I'm talking about something super serious, the burps come out. But that's all about keeping it casual.
Keeping it casual, baby.
That's right.
Go
ahead.
The pride that Miyagi, when Daniel's birthday happens,
Yeah.
and he gives them the cake and the present and stuff. "Oh, I got one more thing for you.
Yeah.
Choose a car."
Yeah.
And it may not have, like, that's a huge thing. It's like your dad giving you your first car for your 16th birthday.
Right.
He was about to get his license too. Like,
He just got it.
Danny is his. What's that?
He had just gotten his license.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna get it the next day.
Yeah, he just got it.
All right. Yeah. Even still, like, that's the thing though. Like, Danny is his son.
Yeah.
It's all throughout the movie, and it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to say, or anything else you want to say, or do you want to do some numbers?
Awesome sleight of hand with the black belt, the heel clap, hang on, the tournament at the end. We didn't really spend. There's a lot of things happening at the tournament here.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So when Danny gets like kicked in the leg and taken out, right, the first time,
yeah,
and he goes back to the locker room, Miyagi should not have done that. The healing clap, the healing rub on the knee.
Why not?
Daniel was in a match and was taken out due to an injury. A doctor looked at it. There were two officials there that saw it too.
Yeah.
Danny should not have been given the option to return.
So you're saying even when Ali went up to the guy and was like, "Oh, Daniel's going to fight," like that should never have happened?
Ali should have gone up and said, "Oh, hey, Danny's fine. He can fight." The ref should have said, "Well, that's fine and all, but he's still injured. We had a doctor verified he was injured. I'm not going to put this kid at risk any more than he already is by putting him out here to risk further injury."
Yeah, I mean, but
the
I'm
judges and doctors had already made the decision. they were crowning the guy, Johnny, with the trophy.
Yeah.
There's no way that they would have gone back on that and said, "Oh yeah, this kid, let him come back out here with an obvious limp, obviously hurt, and let him continue to fight and hurt himself some more."
I mean,
it goes against the spirit of the film. I know, but
it does. To suspend disbelief, exactly. But at the same time, you know, it's
hard to argue that. It really is.
It really is. You know, because
Miyagi with the steroid clap. I got cortisone in these palms.
Yeah, I mean, like, what the hell's happening? Because I mean, I know, like, when I clap just like that, and I'm rubbing my hands together, all that happens is my hands get hot. So
they get hot, yeah.
You know, like, my hands get really hot, and then if I were to put my hands on somebody's knee or someone's shoulder or whatever, I mean, other than being intense heat, what is that going to do for them?
Should I just carry around a heating pad every time I like roll an ankle,
or like a little bottle of Icy Hot? You know, put a little Icy Hot on, and you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Yeah, throw some Icy Hot on it. You good?
Yeah. Well, did they have Icy Hot back in 1984? I don't know.
Well, but they certainly had heating pads.
Yeah. Miyagi's hands, heating pads. I guess is same thing, right?
The same thing.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Everything else, I think we covered in one way or another.
Yeah. I think I'm good for numbers. How about you?
I think I am too. Yeah. Let's do the numbers. What do you mean by numbers, though, John?
You know, I'm so glad you asked, because numbers are those things that we assign to various categories. In these films that we watch for your listening pleasure. You know, we have a number of categories that we will give ratings from 1 to 5. And there are 6 categories, which you can see on our leaderboard. And the leaderboard is at our website, casualmovieclub.com. And you click on the leaderboard button. But if your mouse happens to move to a different button, maybe the one right next to that, it says Patreon. That is a great button to click on, because it'll take you over to our Patreon page, where you can join the Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or as much as you'd like to give per month. And you can help us with keeping the podcast up and running. We are 100% self-funded right now. So we are, footing all the bills for the podcast hosting and the website hosting and all that good stuff. So any help that y'all can give us would be greatly, greatly appreciated to, help us out with keeping things going. If your mouse moves over a little more, there's a merch button. So you can click that to get some merchandise with the Casual Movie Club logos on it. Things like t-shirts, hoodies, phone cases, notebooks, fun stuff like that. You can rep your favorite movie podcast by clicking on any of those and ordering those on one of our partner websites there. But if you are razor sharp in your precision of clicking with your mouse, there is the leaderboard button. So when you click the leaderboard button, you will get the leaderboard, of course, which has a list of all the movies that we have done reviews for and done podcast episodes for. And it has the different categories that we've given our reviews for and our scores for. So the first category on our leaderboard is the acting. How well did the actors convey that story? Did it seem like they were just showing up and reading stuff on a paper, or did it seem like they were believable? And then as far as the paper they would be reading from, it's the script. Tell us about that, Brian.
Well, the script is how well was the dialogue written. When we talk about script, we talk about the story as a whole, but we also talk about the chemistry between the characters.
Yeah.
The next category is presentation. What about the presentation, John?
That would be the visual element of things. How did it look? Was there a lot of visual effects? Could you tell when there was a ton of green screen? How was the visual presentation of the movie? And then, of course, we can't leave all the fun to the eyes. There's also the fun for the ears, the music and sound. Tell us about that, Brian.
Well, that's the soundtrack as a whole. And not just the soundtrack, but the score, the sound effects, music, etc. And I'll leave this next part to you, John.
You mean the goodies? Those goodies. We love those goodies for your ears. We love the goodies for your ears. Anyway, there's that. And then there's the uniqueness. Have we seen this type of thing before? Is this movie unique? Has it been made before in that year it came out or earlier? Because things that have come out after that don't count. So the Karate Kid from, I think it was, 2010 or 2015 with Jaden Smith and what's his name? Jackie Chan. That doesn't count.
Chan.
But,
yes.
Uniqueness. Has this type of thing been done before? And then, of course, we have the engagement factor, which is what, Brian?
It's if this movie keeps you engaged, or would you rather be weeding Twitter?
Or looking for a dojo in your hometown to find a place to go learn karate.
Karate. So with that being said, I think I'll kick it off, if you don't mind, with my acting score.
I would love that. Please do.
So the acting, not a fan of the acting, really. The delivery of the lines, I love the story. I'm not a big fan so much of the delivery of the lines, especially Ralph Macchio. It felt like at some points he was leaning on that Jersey accent really hard. It's a few times it sounded like he was channeling Rocky, and I didn't really like it.
Interesting.
The Shining, the Cobra Kai guys also, like, over the top villains. Like the way they delivered their lines, the way they in the tournament when they were just kind of like hyping each other up and stuff. It's just not believable to me. The one shining light in this, Pat Morita.
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
So much depth, so much soul. I'm really struggling for this. I want to give acting a 2.
What?
Do you think? But yeah, for the reasons I just said.
You've got to be kidding.
Pat Morita would bring this. Is the thing that brings this up to a 2.
That bad? Really? So you think it was that bad apart from Pat Morita?
The delivery of the lines? Yes.
Wow.
I don't think I could have telegraphed this more.
I was not expecting that. Wow.
It's really exaggerated.
Wow.
In my estimation.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm going to just go right out there and say that I think the acting's a 4 because I really liked Pat Morita was phenomenal.
Agreed.
Pat Morita was phenomenal, but I actually thought that the chemistry between Danny LaRusso and Allie was very good. The casting was very good. I feel like the chemistry between Danny LaRusso and Johnny and the Cobra Kai people was very good. It wasn't good like they loved each other, but it was good in that they played the roles of rivals very well together. And then at the very end, you see that, the Cobra Kai people kind of gave him the respect that he never had throughout the whole movie. That was conveyed very well. I'm borderline saddened that you give it a 2, but I think I have to give it a 4. I was going to give it higher, but I think a 4 is a good middle ground and is fair for for what we saw.
Let me put this to you before we move on.
Yeah.
The Johnny was jealous of Danny's relationship with Allie from the very beginning. Sure. Right? He beats up Johnny and beats him up and puts him in the sand and they burn out there's the sand all over Johnny.
Yep. You mean Danny?
Danny, yes.
Yeah.
And then they bully him at school. They beat him up in the soccer field. They get him kicked off the soccer team. They beat him up on Halloween night after Danny does the hose and the stall trick, and they wet all the weed.
I thought that was so funny.
That was very funny. I thought it was a very well done prank. But they're beating up this guy the whole time. Danny comes to their dojo, and they're just chomping at the bit. They go to this tournament, and they beat the shit out of Danny. They almost decommission him. And then at the very end, Johnny sweeps the leg and tries to take Danny out. but Danny perseveres with the swan kick, with a crane kick.
Right.
And then Johnny's like, good job, Danny. You deserve this trophy. And Cobra Kai all comes up around him, and they all lift him up on their shoulders, and it did not feel natural. If I was antagonizing this guy all for months and months and months, and then he beats me at a tournament, I'm not going to suddenly turn on a dime and be like, oh, good job for beating me.
Think about this though. Why are they antagonizing him? Are they antagonizing him throughout this ordeal before the tournament because they want to, or because the sensei wants them to?
At first, it's because they want to. At very first, it's because Johnny didn't like Danny dating Allie.
Right.
Outside of school and in school.
Right.
And then the prank on top of that, the prank at the dance.
I don't know, man. I don't see it as I think the acting was, because we're scoring the acting based on how well the actors did their job.
Yes.
The performances. And I think the performances were on par with the characters that were written for them and that were part of the story. So I stand behind my 4. Now on the part of the script, I was really, really torn between this because initially I wanted to just give it a 4 outright. But I'm going to back it down to a 3.75 for the script because I think there were some things that probably could have been handled a little bit better. Maybe some of the lines, some of the dialogue could have been a little bit better. Some of the story could have been a little bit tighter. But I mean, at the same time, it was very good for what it was. So it's like a high 3.75, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
I'd almost, you know what, and this doesn't count as a take back. I'm going to give it a 3.85.
Huh.
Because who says we have to be in, 25.25 intervals? Like, it can be it can be a 3.27
Yeah,
if you want.
It's your score.
Yeah, but go ahead. What do you got?
Oh, man, I love the script. And I wanted to put it up to a 4, but then we were talking about some of the other things earlier. And I dropped it down to a 3. I don't know. I really like the story, though. As much as the acting kind of irks me, I really like the script. So I don't think a 3. I can't justify a 3, but I can't justify a 4. So I'm going to land in the middle for 3.5.
Okay. That's fine. And then while you're still in the hot seat, what do you think of the presentation, the visual element of things?
Perfect. It was great. The costuming was fantastic. I love the 80s outfits. The haircuts were great. I mean, you can't really have a lot of visual elements. The really only visual element that I can think of, and correct me if you can think of more, was when Danny was beat up by the 5 skeletons and was kind of looking at Miyagi through what looked like maybe like a kaleidoscope kind of lens.
Yeah, or just I think they kind of did that just to make it look like from the point of view of Daniel that he was out of it or kind of hazy a little bit. But yeah, I get that.
What this was very well presented. I want to give it a 4 even.
Okay. I actually have the exact same score for presentation. I'm giving it a 4 as well. Because I liked, I liked the way they visually presented everything, the fight scenes, and a lot of my score kind of comes from the view of the fight scenes and the karate and the martial arts and everything. It looked authentic, it didn't look like, it wasn't obvious that it was movie fights, movie choreography. It wasn't obvious that it was fake in any way. It looked legitimate, and it looked like everything they were doing was for a reason, and it was presented in a very realistic way and a very authentic way. So I agree with a lot of what you said, and then I give it a 4 as well. Now, music and sound, I think you're probably going to find this interesting or find this surprising, but I loved the soundtrack. I absolutely loved the soundtrack. I loved the music choices. I thought the music composition for the score was excellent. For me, music and sound is a 5.
Wow. The I'm not surprised at your love of the music and
I
sound, but I'm
loved the
surprised
soundtrack
at
for
the
this.
score.
I thought the score was great.
Yeah, I mean your rating, I should say.
Yeah.
Your rating. Oh, wow. I gotta say that it was fine for me. The best. I know what they were doing, and I understand what they were what was happening.
Right.
I did take a little bit of issue with them doing like the mysterious Japanese flute and pipes every time Miyagi was being mysterious. I don't think that was.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, it was a little too on the nose for me. It wasn't subtle, and I think that's what I was looking for. What I did love was the "You're the Best Around" song at the end during the tournament. Love that song.
Yep.
But the rest of the soundtrack just kind of felt middle of the road to me. It didn't really, nothing wowed me except like the end song, honestly. So music and sound for me is a 3 even.
Oof. Okay. That's fine. And then how about your uniqueness score? What are you giving this for uniqueness?
So for this was interesting because you always see movies, you always see TV shows that have like the underdog getting beat down, finding the mysterious master, training with them, and then coming back on and winning in the end, right? That like what more obvious trope is there than that?
Yeah,
But
I mean, there's other ones too. There's the outsider moving in from somewhere else. There's the bullies that target the new kid at the school. There's the tropes are there's a ton of tropes.
There's a ton of them, though. My thing about that, though, is a lot of the movies that I think of that have similar tropes to this are really spin-offs of this. I didn't do a lot of research, but I was really racking my brain from the very beginning of the film. I was really racking my brain of thinking of things that happened like this before this, and I really couldn't come up with something that was a solid answer for it.
Okay.
So I if as much as it doesn't feel unique, I have to admit that it is unique because it's so early in this type of movie. This is one of the first movies that is really like this that I can think of anyway. Yeah. So I score this a 4 in uniqueness.
I love it. I love it. And honestly, I am exactly in the same place because, I think the tropes are just a means to convey the story. It's not like they took all these tropes and made the story around the tropes. It's that the tropes were just a means of delivering certain things, or they were just sort of facets of the story that were just there. But I think that, using it using the storyline as what it is, a guy meets a sort of unlikely teacher for karate. Who becomes his mentor, and then he now, has a passion for martial arts and develops that as a something that he's really into. Like that does have a uniqueness tale. To it. It's a classic tale. Like we've heard this all throughout all storytelling, but it's the movies where this happens. I struggle to find. It's the movie, but also how they showed it and how they came about doing that. Yeah. Yeah, so I agree with you. And then for engagement factor, this was a tough one for me to gauge because, like you said earlier, you've seen this movie a number of times. I've seen this movie a number of times as well.
I'm sorry, John. I hate to cut you off while you're ramping up. I didn't hear you give the uniqueness score. Was it a 4
it's
also?
It's a 4, yeah. It's the same as you. It's a 4.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that.
No, you're good. So engagement factor, this was a little tough for me because I've seen this movie quite a few times, but it's a movie that I absolutely love. And, You know, it's a movie that I've watched a number of times. I would gladly watch it again. You know, I'd gladly watch that and all the sequels. You know, I really enjoyed all the sequels. Again, I have not seen The Karate Kid with Hilary Swank, but I've seen all the movies with Ralph Macchio, and you know, I really loved the quality of, you know, how they maintained the integrity of the story going through the different sequels. So, you know, that being said, I think this movie is engaging. I think it is a longer movie. It's about 2 hours or so. I mean, we're, you know, not including time for like credits and everything, but like it's about 2 hours of you know, meat and potatoes, you know, of the movie. I think there are engaging parts of it, you know, and there are parts that, you know, slow down a little bit more, but then there's parts that really kind of grab you, especially those moments where you're seeing the depth of the characters, especially where, you know, Mr. Miyagi is drunk and he's talking about his past, and, you know, you see Daniel looking at the medal and the pictures and the letter that he got. Like, there's those moments where you get that character depth and that character development that are just so good. Those are engaging. I think the fights are engaging, the karate, the training, all that stuff's engaging. It's a 4 for me for engagement factor.
Wow. And I echo a lot of those sentiments, but I don't know what. Maybe it's because I've seen it so many times, and it's difficult for me to remember the last time I saw it.
It's a hard one to judge because of the fact that we've seen this movie so many times, and it's like I kind of grew up with this movie in a way.
Same, yeah. Really, really did. So and I honestly, I grew up with it a few times just based off of the history of my friends with it and just their chosen line of work.
Right. And like when I gave my score, I kind of based it on, I mean, I can't remember the first time I saw this movie. I mean, it's been probably 30 years or something since I first saw the movie, but I was trying to think of a score that would represent a first time viewer to this movie and kind of how I think it would be. So that's why I came up with the 4, but go ahead. What do you got?
I can't give it a 4. I can't do it because there are controversial statement, but I just don't like Danny LaRusso that much.
That's fine.
But it is engaging because I'm very interested in the tournament. I'm invested in the Cobra Kai dojo and what happens to them, what happens with Mr. Miyagi. This is a 3. This is a 3 because I can be engaged, but I can be in and out of it. Also, yeah, 3 feels okay. 3 feels 3.5. 3.5.
Okay, cool.
3.5.
So now that you've given that score, is there anything? Do you want to do any take backsies before we lock in the scores?
3.5 engagement, 4 uniqueness, 3 music and sound, 4 presentation, 3.5 script, 2 acting. I would raise my acting based off of our conversation earlier about it. I stand by what I said with the 80s over-exaggerated acting. I think it's evident.
That was kind of a common theme in that time period,
is.
Though.
I would raise acting up to 2.5.
That's it?
Yeah, man. I really wish you could see what I see with it, but Pat Morita is the one shining light in this whole film.
Okay.
2.5. Lock it in.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to do a little take backsies here. I'm going to take my script and go from a 3.85 to a 4, just because I think that the amazing acting, a lot of it is due to the quality of the writing, and Pat Morita delivered that amazing acting, but he wouldn't have done that if the script didn't warrant that, or if the script wasn't, the script didn't give him that depth of character to build on and to call upon that in order to deliver the performance that he did. So that's why I kind of want to bring my script up to a 4.
That feels right.
I think that being said, we're locking in, right?
I'm good.
Because we both used our one take backsies that we have. So the scores are in. Oh, hold on. I just got a notification on my computer. Oh, tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. That's fun. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So the scores are in, ladies and gentlemen, and karate students for, of all ages and so forth. The scores are in for The Karate Kid from 1984. Are you ready, Brian?
I'm ready.
Acting, 3.25. Script, 3.75. Presentation, 4. Music and sound, 4. Uniqueness, 4. Engagement factor, 3.75 for a grand total average of 3.79.
Wow!
Same as the Santa Claus. So I have a feeling this is probably going to go below the Santa Claus because the Santa Claus had a 5 in there. So I think on the leaderboard, it's probably going to sit right between Coma and the Santa Claus. Which, I mean, we won't know for sure until I put it in on Thursday morning. But I think that's probably okay. I mean, I'd love to see it a little bit higher. But, we both talked about the scores that we gave. And I think that we... kind of made, good arguments for the scores that we gave. So, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I think I'm satisfied with this.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously ranked higher than National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Labyrinth, Under Siege, Footloose,
Batman, Blues Brothers,
The Human Centipede,
Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at our leaderboard now. I still can't believe that The Craft has finally been ousted as not the worst movie that we saw. But
7 Meters Down was a bad movie.
I know. We need to do the sequel.
Do we though?
Yes, because I wonder if the sequel's worse than the original. Like I think that'd be really interesting to see.
I thought you had seen it already.
Oh no, I've seen the sequel. Tina and I have both seen it, and Tina is ready, by the way. She is emotionally ready to come and watch 47 Meters Down Uncaged, the sequel, to be on the podcast.
That feels like a summer movie, though.
Maybe. I don't know. But so that's those are the numbers that we have for this movie. Brian, do we know what we're doing next week? I don't think we do.
I don't think we do.
No.
You want to just leave it up to chance, a surprise, leave it a mystery?
Yeah, I mean, I think
building
that's
a mystery.
Yeah, I mean, and in the spirit of the Casual Movie Club, we'll just see what movie comes on, and we'll keep it casual. And we're probably going to we may be remote for a couple of weeks. I'm thinking, right?
At least for one more.
Yeah. So. And just before we continue, before we go on any further, feel free to, everybody, go to casualmovieclub.com/coronavirus. If you want to make a donation or you want to learn more about the virus that's going on, there's a link on that site to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, to their kind of informational portal about the coronavirus. So if you want to learn about the virus itself, kind of what they're doing, how best to protect yourself, go to that website. If you want to make a donation, there is a donation kind of going through, I forget the name of the company that's providing it, but there's a link on there. So if you go to casualmovieclub.com/coronavirus, you can learn more about that. And I just want to wish everybody that's out there, in the Casual Movie Club and those that are listening to this, please stay safe, be careful, wash your hands. For me, I don't know what your trick is, Brian, but for me, I kind of hum the ABCs when I'm washing my hands because that's about 20 seconds.
I sing happy birthday to myself.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So, like I'll put the water on, put the soap in my hands, and then I'll just, and I'll go through the ABCs, and that's my thing. So, I hope that, everyone out there, make sure you wash your hands, be careful when you're out in public. If you have some hand sanitizer, use that, but please stay safe.
Don't touch your face.
Yes, don't touch your face, exactly. But everybody stay safe, be careful, be safe, and come back and listen to more episodes. We're gonna have more episodes for you next week and all the weeks ahead. So everybody, be careful. Have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful week. Stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.